Hello and welcome. Today is New Month's Day. Happy New Months, everybody. And this is a crypto day morning. All bets, trades of the like, within each his own risk and their own reward. But before we get into today's analysis, let's go back to yesterday on New Month's Eve, as the price action at 10:32 a.m. went down to a low of 37 and a half, a little more than, and it made a high a few minutes later at about 39.10. Let's look at the daily term time frame now, currently, which had the high in that of the 18 average of that, and the low almost making it towards it. Overall, there's not much going on here. But this gives you a good time today to try to figure out all of your new month's resolutions. Of course, for the month of March, and like 11 of 12 new months days, it will happen upon the same year. And let's move on forward. Do that towards Litecoin or within that of Litecoin. And it too is remaining over the last several days amongst its correctionary 18 average. It's up today though, about that of 3.4%, up to 47. Not too far away from having a clear break. 49 would be a clear break above the 18 average of highs on the daily term. But short term, upon the daily, we can see we established this resistance between 46.29 and 46 and 2/3. And it managed to get above it at 3 a.m. New York City time, as well as Miami, Florida, and Miami, Ohio time. And it comes back down to this level of support now, starting to lift up, congesting amongst this upper end over the last few hours. Definitely some decent possibilities moving forward, and on the extreme short term, this is much different, or a little different in time, because it is 9:08 a.m. and this won't even be available till closer to 9:30. But it's looking good. I like how it's came up to this level. Short term move in here. Maybe it'll come back down to 46.86. But it does seem as if this is a live coin ready for possible great gains for it today. And within the weekly, how I like how over the last three periods, it's like a triple pause. This week is very close to completing. I think it does so on Sunday. And within the pause situation, 18 barely starting to rise. But more importantly, the gain from the low of 32 up to 47 has held and stayed within this area. It has resisted this most previous level of support. That getting above there, we'll be looking at the last area here on 80. And of course, when I put in some Fibonacci levels from this high to this low, which represents 63 and change and 125. For me as a trader, I'm not going to trade much against this, mainly just for that of a hedge. I have a buy order ready at 20, not for much. And I have a sell order ready at 63, and again, not for that much. But it does seem as if this market is poised and ready to go up to this. I've heard of another channel saying they got a strong indicator still that this is going lower. Well, this was a spot where it was right to short or sell out or sell position sizes at 25. Interesting spot. That's the opposite, of course. The strategy I talk about within the buy low, sell high. This would be a buy area, as like areas that when it's below the 18 average, it's a buy area. Below the 18 average of highs, it's basically a sell area. And if this market can get a big push and push above this, then it enters into that area of such. Within the monthly chart, there isn't much to go over on this. But here's a spot, just like Bitcoin, attempting to revert the trend. Any rally, we can see the 18 average of highs is about $100, 93-ish, and then the pierce above to that Fibonacci 125. So therefore, it's working on stage number 3 for reversal of trend. Stage 1 was band flattening out. Stage 2, it has already established its level of support, and it's relatively close upon such. Therefore, if you resist this, come back down, break below, we're looking at much lower than 20. We're probably looking at this previous level of resistance area of about 8, 9, 10. That's, of course, if it even goes that far. But if it's able to hold and stay above this 18, and this is a long ways away, of course, but this 18 average of highs, triple digits basically, then this thing would be poised to hit four digits on the break of this resistance, and not only hit four digits, but most likely convincingly hit four digits, which means not starting with a one or probably even that of a two. Of course, that's long term and a long, long, long ways to go. But let's take a look at this now via the cross against BTC monthly term time frame. You know what? Similar sort of deal here. As you come down to the 18 average band, flattening out, establish support back to this band, and okay, if we break down below this and hold below 0.009, ooh, that's looking like we're going to at least come down to this 55 handle, and maybe even pierce below and closer to this one. But in the spot above here, if this is able to hold and stay above here, I would have to think that minimum these highs as a target level, but realistically these highs up here at a 003 and aggressively a new high, and well, could this go to 0.1, 0.12, 0.08? Those are all possible areas. Let's look at this on the weekly chart, which against the BTC in here, having the rally higher here on February the 4th week. This is its third pause week, and getting out above this, we're going to be talking about trading trading, but moving into the previous congestion area of about 0.017. On the daily chart is where it's, to me, starting to get really interesting, because from this high, it has now been several days of going sideways for this rally took place on February the 8th. Here we are on New Month's Day, and this was 1 week after the previous New Month's Day. And a good congestion correction time. So we look at 123 now compared to 123 on February 9. Well, it was really overextended now. It's not even close to being overextended at this point until it can have a clear break above this 18 average of highs. But because it established this level of support and it just did an amazing job after, we'll call this a failed rally attempt to break out. But after doing that, you can gain your composure, all that stuff. But the sellers come in, do their thing, and sellers weren't too enthusiastic about bringing it down too much more at this point. You have this long sideways movement in here for several days. People are looking at the 116 and they're like, no, I'm not selling. And now we see if it gets above this, there could be just some fantastic moves are coming. 4-hour time frame, it had recently broken out about 3 periods ago. It had gotten above not only this level of resistance at 120.6, but again at 121.7, and is holding and doing very well. So therefore, I'm thinking this thing should at least have a good shot of making a new high now. At least I would think to 125, and who knows there much or how much there after that. We can see on the single-hour time frame that this break occurred at 2 o'clock earlier in the morning and has been holding very nicely ever since. Upon the 5-minute time frame, just like against the dollar, I think it's a nice little setup in here. We have this retest of previous high in here. It is pierced above it, but that's pretty much the same. One might even say that's strong how it went up a little bit and is now, for the last two 15-minute periods, is congesting exactly at those highs. I want to see very short term over the next, as I'm doing this, over the next hour or so, hour and a half, for this 122.8 handle to hold in the area 122.7, which would coincide with the 18. But again, we're looking at this getting above on the short term. So if you're looking at the hourly chart and all these others for clear breaks, if you shorten it out, you can get your ideas in here and see, okay, if I see it go up to 124 on, say, the 15-minute time frame, that means we'd be having a clear break among the hourly. That means amongst the 4-hour, we're continuing doing what we're supposed to be doing, which is making a bull market move up to this sort of level or area there. And let's go on next to DGB, which has just made it now up to the 300 Satoshi level. And I'm pretty happy now, considering I increased my portfolio 2.5 times larger than I recently had a couple of days ago. And I made a video yesterday talking about this against Litecoin, trading the two together, how wild the aggressive moves have been, and how technically speaking, you could not even have any Bitcoin. Technically, well, you could have DGB in one wallet, say Litecoin on another, and then when you need to trade, you trade the one you need to sell to the exchange. You sell it for Bitcoin, and with that Bitcoin, you buy the other and then send it back to the wallet. For the ratios are just magnificent. We'll go through more towards the longer term on this, as I've shown this yesterday, but it's just a magnificent amount of volatility. Here we are just short term going from 233 up to 300. That's a differential of like 65 points, so 25%. Yeah, no, what? It's not great for them, but still pretty good. I like how after establishing this level of resistance, how it comes back. How's this green day leaving the 18 highs for day number one? Day number two, a little bit of small follow through. Day number three, barely a follow through, but of a pause. Same thing yesterday. And then today's session, how it's having a nice gain. And there's been a lot of decent short-term corrections as we can see within the lines over the two previous days, as well, of course, as this 3-day period decline, 2-day really. And now we're at that retest of that previous area, retest of this little general area, although it's piercing below such. But on the weekly chart here, if it's able to get above, and this is week number 2 amongst the 18 average of highs, well, we're in a breakout zone, as we've just finished stage number 1 of reverting of trend. That's band flattening out. If it can get above this, then 311, 315, you know what, going up to 3455, 370 area, which would be establishing resistance stage number 2 upon the reversal of trend. And overall, I don't know how much I want to put into that, because this is in majorly choppy territories. I think I put a little into it. I'm just looking at this one in here. You have this low, you have this high, lower high. So it's all symmetrical in here. You can try, as far as, even though this low is lower than this, it's still higher in here. This low is lower than this, higher than this, but this is lower than this. It's got like a crunchy type of feel that it has to break out and resolve itself, and that could contain extreme volatility, which is why I like this. As we've had a lot of the support in here, so support majorly established. I just can't say, oh, what's the big level of resistance? We got this, and we got this. But when I look at everything priced in here, and I remove these drawings, and we'll look at more periods, this is just a retracement from here as well. And although the log scale sucks on TradingView, this low is higher than this one. So it's an extremely long-term symmetrical setup at this stage. And whenever these things have historically gotten above the 18 average in here, which was here, it got above it for, I mean, this wasn't much of a gain, but it was something. 476 up to 673. This was a complete failed breakout in here, really didn't do anything at all. This one was really good, but it was a shadow of this. And then if we scan back some more, as we can see, getting out above here, it was a failed breakout. But when you see the market on a volatile level, this is why I talk about how crazy this is. You go from 82 up to 180, and then retrace back down to like 41. This time when it broke above, you can just see that the 18 average from before this point in here, the price action was resisting the low, so it was in a downtrend. And then on the right in here, the September of 2015 period, how it had this line break up, green candle here, this one here. Just look at this volatility. Low 36, high 222. And that was a prelude to the next high, that was 1,000. And of course, that was a prelude to this high, which was much higher. Question is, what kind of prelude are we taking a look at with historical prices now? If prices can only just reach that of about 2,500, that would be magnificent. And as I've talked before in the trading series, which is in the more information box about accumulation, distribution, and neutrality, and of course being so low, and if you're entering in right now, it's accumulation. At what stage would I consider this on a trading level best to put into neutrality? For what I was talking about in the series was accumulation. Pretty much everything below a big high is accumulation, and maybe a little bit below, like around 1900. And then from this to the start of a good pierce above high is neutrality. And in this case, you'd be looking at maybe, let's say, like 6,000 or something, 8,000. And then everything above that is distribution. But upon mathematics, if one was to use that type of analogy and using accumulation as where you are looking to aggressively buy, neutral where you're not looking to aggressively sell but you're not looking to aggressively buy, and in distribution where you are looking to sell, that would mean maybe, okay, we're entering around 300 now, then I'm going to put in a number, say close to say 12 mathematically in here. Everything at this point I want to be in accumulation. And within that strategy, that means, let's say you sell at, say, 700, you sell some. Of course, why would you sell when you're trying to accumulate? Well, that's because markets go up, markets go down. And thus, you'd say, okay, I'm going to put a buy order to buy back in at, say, 500. Well, now, for every whatever amount you sell, you're going to get like a, 40% return? For every one, it would be something like that. It looks like a 42% differential. That's pretty good. So 100% of the Bitcoin that I had on the sale in accumulation mode would be used to buy at a cheaper price. And then neutrality mode, we got maybe say 1200, maybe to that of 2270. We could say is neutral. And in this, if say I sell at say 1875 and I'm looking to buy back at 1,000, then if I sold whatever amount here, say for every 100 that I sold, I could buy back about 180 with my Bitcoin. But I'm not in full accumulation mode. I'm in neutral mode. Maybe I'll buy about 140 of them, 120 even. And then the remainder Bitcoin I would profit. And then when prices get up here, you like to just sell even with no reason to buy back, or only a portion of it to buy back, and to buy back at extremely cheap prices, which means you're selling at say 6,500. I don't want to buy that back until well under 2,000. That's a type of sentiment I'd be going within it. And if you're trading at shorter term moves, say for 15 and 20% gains, you can even go in the term of say, okay, I'm going to do it in that level where I'm going to use accumulation mode, where if I'm going to buy 100% back, but I only want to do it up to this previous high, say around 775 ballpark or 750. And then I'm going to put neutrality and just say up to about here at around 1500, and then go distribution. We're playing the mathematics on it. So therefore, you're accumulating up to a 2.5x move, and you are then next playing the neutral mode for a play that would be about double, and then you're going to distribute, and you might end up seeing that the market doubles or triples from the time when you're like, oh my goodness, it's way overextended, it's 4,000, and maybe you sell everything you got. And maybe it continues going much higher, because I think if it does break this resistance, it can go to 10. But my thinking is one of two things. One, so be it. If I sell something that I bought at 300, I sell it at 4,000, and it goes up to 16,000 or 24, well, I got a profit. You don't lose taking profits. And even still, there's going to be times where, say back in here, you're like, I want to sell everything out at 1,000 here. I want to sell everything at 585. It's up too much. Again, if you were buying back when it was like 40 and you thought it was up too much at 570, and I can see why one would think that, you're getting killer ass profits or kick ass profits in here. And then, yeah, you missed out on this. But you were able to buy it back even though you missed out on this move up and top. Thank you for tuning in, and have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.